My mother taught me something really great that I didn't really put a lot of value on early in my career, but it's a very simple thing. Always tell the truth and you'll never have to remember what you said, right?
I tried to do a cable channel with one of the largest telco companies in the US to consolidate online gaming, so you paid one subscription fee and you got all the online games. We were early. I lost millions of dollars doing that, and I also got involved with a really large company, so everything was tied up in bureaucracy all the time. It was a big mistake. I won't mention which one, but you know, I learned from that. I've never made that mistake again. That was my biggest financial failure because it was millions and millions of dollars. But the great thing is, you know, it doesn't matter how successful you are, you're still going to make mistakes, but you got to learn from them. Today, I like to say I make new mistakes. I don't make old ones. But you're always winning and losing, and so I make new mistakes now and I'm learning, and that's what they call experience, I guess.
What do you think is the #1 thing that young people get wrong when it comes to finances?
We teach young people everything. Geography, reading, math, sex education. We don't teach them about investing. The average salary in America is $52,000. And if you put aside 10% of what you get paid, by the time you're 65, you'll have $1.2 million in the bank. Nobody teaches them that. An entrepreneur should be able to tell the truth. You should be able to speak to them honestly. They should be able to take it in, and they should be able to fail even. I mean, maybe they're coming to you at the end of the deal after 3 years, nothing's working out. And my rules are very simple. If you can't make money after 3 years, it's a hobby, it's not a business. I don't know why people give me crap for this. I mean, it's so reasonable, but the point is, you tell them the truth. They absorb it, they think about it. At least you're dealing in the truth, and you're not lying to them about keep going and mortgage your house and all that. But the reason I think it's more efficient is you only have so much time to be successful, and you don't want to waste it. There's nothing worse than wasting time. 36 months, that's enough time to figure out if a business is going to work or not, right? Things that interest you give you lots of energy. Things you don't want to do, you keep procrastinating, which is horrible. The key to motivation is routine. Now that may sound boring and mundane, but it's not. Start your day with the biggest problem. When you've got all your energy, take it right out of the gate. Whatever it is, it's going to be some horrific problem, you got to deal with it. Get it done first. Generally speaking, there's going to be 5 to 7 things you have to do every day. You won't get them all done every week and every day, but you want to take the top 3 and nail them. And the trick to that is to do nothing else till you solve those problems. A friend of mine started a company. I gave him $250,000. 60 days later, he comes back and says, look, I need another $500,000 to make this work. I gave him the $500K. He went to zero 90 days later. That's $750,000. Please, a moment of silence for that money. And I'll never, ever, ever do that again. So I don't let emotion get in the way.
Money destroys families sometimes when there's too much of it. When a family member comes to me and says, look, I need money. I want to borrow money from you. And I recommend this to anybody that's dealing with this problem. I say to them, I don't want to lend you any money. I'm going to give you money, and I never want it returned. But our contract between each other now is you never ask again.
You have to have respect for people. The guy that delivers your breakfast in the morning, you should respect him like Warren Buffett. If you can't give them respect, you have become an asshole. And you deserve, in my view, the karma that comes with that. Over the years, the decades now, when I look at my portfolio of companies that have been successful and those that have failed, and that happens when you're a venture capitalist. You're not going to get winners all the time. But 75% of my returns over the last 15 years have come from companies run by women. Now, there are a wide range of different sectors, everything from technology and wireless charging to commercial kitchens. I mean, there's such a broad number of different sectors represented here, and these women don't know each other. And so I've learned to listen to the information. And here's what I learned. One of my CEOs, a woman that was running an online wedding business where she was basically originating about $500 million worth of gifts to bridegrooms and bridesmaids. It's a fantastic business, very profitable, partnership with PayPal. And she told me, you know, Kevin, I'm going to make an observation for you that you should consider. Most people during their day spend 2/3 of their time talking, only 1/3 of their time listening. She said, why don't you reverse it? Why don't you try shutting up and listen 2/3 of the day and talk 1/3. You'll become far more powerful. You'll become far better at investing. You'll have more knowledge, you'll have more information. Well, guess what? She was right. It's very hard for people to shut up and listen. And that's what I do these days. I listen. I try and garner information. I try and mitigate my risk. I try to understand each business model. The key to success that I would have taught myself 20 years ago would have been shut up and listen. I would have gotten where I am today much faster because I've made plenty of mistakes in my career by not listening. What I've learned about really great investors and great managers and great entrepreneurs, that they have a balance in their lives. It doesn't mean they don't work 25 hours a day. What it means is, for the strength of being entrepreneurial and understanding the numbers and leading a business with all the hardships you're going to have, and you will have them, most of these successful people have another side. For example, I recently hired a CFO, a fantastic woman, who started her career as a professional dancer, ballerina. She still keeps it up to this day. She still gets up at 5 in the morning and practices. And so that discipline makes her a better manager. The yin and yang of the arts and the chaos and the challenge of dancing versus her role as a CFO are a perfect match and make her far more functional, far more successful, far more productive. So in my life, I'm trying to pursue the arts. I'm a collector, I'm a guitarist, I have a very large winemaking business, and I spend time blending those wines. And I'm trying to become, the world's largest watch collector, and I thought I was until I went over to the United Arab Emirates recently and realized I'm a nothing burger compared to those guys. But I'm one of those people out in the watch community that has a very, very passionate desire to buy more timepieces. They all balance me against that harsh reality of business, because I got to tell you, today we're managing right now 34 portfolio companies. Every day we have chaos in one of them and euphoria in another. Every day something great is happening. Every day 15% of them are being acquired, and we're adding 2 new companies this week we've been investing in. But my point is, it's chaos. It's complete chaos. You have no idea the outcomes, and you have to roll with the punches, so to speak, and there's going to be a tremendous amount of volatility. And you have to find that inner space where you think about that guitar riff you're playing, or thinking about the wine you were making last week. You gotta balance the pressure, you know what I mean? That's why I think I'm different than I was maybe even 10 years ago or 5 years ago. I do. I don't want to let my investors down. I don't want to put my name out there. Many people approach me about becoming an investor in their company, and I'm very, very selective because I want to be successful as an investor. And I know many people follow my investment strategies, so I want to make sure that I do my due diligence and I understand the risks I'm getting into. Your friend is right. There is a tremendous pressure and a lot of scrutiny that goes on. But I believe now, and particularly over the last 2 years, and particularly on the journey I've gone into on crypto and centralized and decentralized finance, that there's a direct correlation between social media, print media, television, cable, and market capitalization. So if I'm able to help a company with my millions of followers tell their story, explain the merits of their products and services to millions of people, I'm helping them. And as a result, we attract capital, because the more successful the company is, the easier it is and their cost of capital goes down. So my role as an investor today has changed. I'm selective, I pick my companies, and then I tell their stories all around the world. And I tell the story because I'm an investor. I don't ask for anything more than to understand the risk, but I also want people to understand the product and the services and why I invested in it. And I'm a big believer in crypto now because of the productivity enhancement it's going to do to financial services. The largest market on earth is the currency and financial services market. And there's so much promise with all of the blockchain activity and all of the tokens that are available and all the ideas around new level 1, level 2 chains, the H-bars of the world, the polygons, heliums, all of these where I've taken bets and made investments. Because at the end of the day, and I tell people this, Bitcoin is not a coin. It's software. That's what it is. Ethereum is software. If you're willing to invest in Google and you're willing to invest in Microsoft, what are you investing in? You're investing in software. Why wouldn't you invest in crypto? It's software. You should not pursue entrepreneurship out of the greed of money. You will never succeed. If that's why you're becoming an entrepreneur, you will never be successful. However, if you're becoming an entrepreneur out of the pursuit of personal freedom, you have a very, very large chance of being successful. And what I mean by that is most of the entrepreneurs, most of the ones I meet that have been successful, I always ask them, do you remember the moment that you became wealthy? Do you remember the moment when you just turned the switch and all of a sudden you were rich? Now what that means though is the moment you had the freedom to pursue whatever you wanted. That's what wealth is. It's how you spend the rest of your days. You have that opportunity. And every one of them says to me, no, I don't remember. I don't remember the day that happened. And it was the same for me. I remember in the case of the learning company, the 10 of us that were managing that business, and we'd grown it to the largest educational software company in the world, the day after we got acquired, we went from, guys living in on the sofa with sleeping bags to being wildly wealthy. And we all showed up in the office the next morning saying, what do we do next? Nobody wanted to stop working. We wanted to just keep going. But at that moment I realized, wow, I'm filthy rich. How did this happen? It happened because all of us were pursuing our dream of freedom. And at that moment, the first thing I did was go buy a Stratocaster, a guitar that I couldn't afford until then, and a Leica camera that I'd wanted my whole life, things that I wanted to pursue in my own dream of personal freedom, not because I wanted to be flashy. It was because I couldn't afford one, and now I could because I worked so hard. And that's the reason you should be an entrepreneur, to provide for your family, to provide personal freedom, to do the things in life that mean something to you and give back money to entrepreneurs in terms of investing or just charities you want to work with. It's a new form of freedom, but you'll find you'll be working even harder. I work harder today than I've ever worked in my life. And after I die, wherever I'm going to keep working. The truth is, my mother taught me something that really became important later in my life. She was a working woman, but she always said to me, don't buy a lot of stuff. When you're going to buy something, make sure it's the highest quality. Instead of having, 20 suits, buy 3 really good ones that are going to last. Buy a good watch, not a mediocre one. Buy something that is meaningful to you. And when she passed away and I became the executor of her estate, she had all these Chanel jackets that she had worked for 6 months, a year to buy as a young woman that were still in style as classics. And all the women in my family fought over them because they were almost priceless. These classic Parisian Chanel dresses and suits and jackets that Audrey Hepburn wore. And they were 20, 30 years old, but they had become classics, and these things are now vintage. This is really something to think about. When you make an investment, you're taking money that could be invested for the future, and you're putting it into something. Make sure what you're buying goes up in value too. And you can do that. You don't need to buy a lot of junk. I don't spend a lot of money, but when I do, I buy something really valuable, like a watch, which I love. And my wife thinks I'm crazy. I have so many watches now. If I wore 5 a day, I could never get through them in a year. So it's crazy, but I do it as an investment. And so far, it's been one of my most successful in the last 2 years. The Omega Speedmaster 1975 edition, that they made one of the calibers that they were worried about were going to space. So they really worked hard on those first models and those late 70 vintage pieces. And now there's a new Omega Speedmaster called the Snoopy, which has Snoopy on a rocket ship going to the moon on the back through the crystal. And that watch has set the brand on fire. It is one of the most collectible pieces on the world, very, very hard to get. Omega is going to make me a one-of-a-kind with a red strap for Shark Tank Season 14. I'll be wearing it. But that watch took off at Bitcoin 2021 when somebody said to the moon on stage wearing a Snoopy, and the watch went up in value 1,000%. Everybody in crypto wants one now. So let me give you 3 points that I think are very important that I would have said 10 years ago were the 3 points, but now there's a 4th.
that are essential in you as a CEO, as an entrepreneur, that you must have the ability to do. I've seen this over decades. This is the definition of leadership. When you're an entrepreneur and you're starting a company, number one, you have to be able to explain your opportunity, your idea in 90 seconds or less. And why you have to be able to do that is people will follow you if you know where you're going. And if you can't explain in 90 seconds or less your big vision, your idea, what is it? What product or service are you going to create that's so incredible? Then you'll fail. Number two, explain why you are the right entrepreneur to execute on that idea. Great ideas are a dime a dozen. Executional skills are very, very hard to find. So what is it about you that can execute on this plan? Have you done it before? Have you worked for a competitor? Have you failed 3 times and now you know what you did wrong and you're gonna get it right the 4th time? Whatever it is that attaches you to that idea is very important to be able to explain. Now, number 3, and this is extremely important, know your numbers. How big is the market? How fast is it growing? What's your break-even analysis? How many competitors are there? When is your volume going to reduce your input costs? Everything about the business model you need to know. If you don't know, have somebody with you, because investors are going to ask you that. In the context of Shark Tank all around the world, you get the first 2 right and everybody wants to invest in you, including me, and then you don't know your numbers, you deserve to burn in hell, and I'll put you there. I mean, you have to know your numbers. That's it. Now, lastly, and this has happened over the last 3 years, consumers all around the world are getting hip to ESG. It's not just a marketing scam anymore. They want sustainability. They want companies with a mission. They want companies that give back. They want companies that understand we're all human beings. This is not a marketing scam. If you're a company that's only in it for profits of your shareholders, you will be shunned by consumers. They want to see that you care about other people too. Now, that doesn't mean you have to be less profitable. What it means is you have to show compassion, you have to give back to the community, and you have to work under an ESG mandate. Here in South Florida, where I am now, or when I go, anywhere in Asia, people care about plastic in the ocean now. They don't want that anymore. They're actually thinking about it. So they care about what you do as a company to help sustainability. And it's the companies that are providing those mandates in their mission are wildly profitable now, are far more profitable because they attract very loyal customer bases. Think about that. Get these 4 points right. This is the essence of entrepreneurship and leadership, because you have to have a mission in addition to being able to operate a business with great executional skills.